everybody to this, what is it called? Off the Grid, on the Path session. I'm going to ask again if you're interested in this discussion to move the tables closer, just to separate it out. So how many people are here for this session? Throughout the room, okay. People in the distant tables don't want to move them up. All right. All right. You're free to do what you want to do. So I'm going to quickly give you the outline, and then we'll get the microphone back on. Okay. We're going to talk about what our goals were when we moved to New Hampshire, and then we're going to talk about the detours we went on in trying to achieve these goals. And then, you know, towards the end, future lessons learned, stuff like that. And we really do want this to be a conversation. We want to hear suggestions. Maybe we did something wrong, you know, more than we do, because we don't know a lot. All right, we didn't know a lot. We're learning all the time, and we're happy to keep learning. So, having said that, I'm Jody Underwood.
I'm Ian Underwood.
I'm Emily Smith.
And Neil Smith.
Anything about them? Or, yeah, doesn't matter. Okay.
Actually, who lives in New Hampshire and who's, okay, live in New Hampshire. People moving to New Hampshire soon, hopefully.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright, so we're going to start with how we started out. Right. So the name of our project is the Bardo Project, and we're going to tell you what Bardo means.
So Bardo is a Tibetan word. It means between lives, and one of the motivations we had for moving up here was that we knew and were starting to find people who were on the wrong track, had the ladder against the wrong wall, were in a life that really wasn't going where they wanted to go. And it's hard to get out of that kind of rut, to change that kind of momentum. And so we thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a place where if you knew you needed to make that kind of change, you could come and make it, because you would be away from distractions, you would have a lot of room and a lot of time and no distractions and no connections to your previous
Peace and quiet in nature also really helps.
Overwhelming life, to come and spend some time doing some physical labor and find out who you are and what you should be doing, and then start to do that thing. And, you know, being capitalists, we thought, well, one of the ways we could pay for this would be if you come and you find out who you are and what you should be doing and you start doing it, then you would use part of that income to help the next person who needs to go through the same things. And in that sense, the project itself becomes self-sustaining, and it's sort of a, you know, an investment in humans. It's human venture capital, right? And so you send people out, they send money back, more people go out, they send money back, and it just keeps going. So but the idea of Bardo is that you would come here because you're between lives. You had one life, it's not working, you need to find out what your life should be and where you should go with it.
And we meet a lot of people that, you know, have been in the same dead-end job in the same area and that they hate, doing things that they don't want to do and they feel stuck in it. So we really want to, you know, enable people to get out of that situation.
And to add on to that a little bit, there's also people who are just starting out in the world and don't really know what they want to do. And this is also a place for that, to help you figure that out. And so keep this in mind that we're actually looking for people to come to our property. Now, we probably couldn't handle all of you at once.
Let's go to camp.
We do have a large campground. Well, actually, we have 210 acres. So, you know, if you each had a tree, that could probably work. So keep it in mind throughout what we're going to be presenting, that we're looking for people to help us do what we're doing while we're helping you do what you're doing. Anything else to add to that? Okay.
Well, so that's what our plan was, and then we got a little sidetracked.
Okay.
Just give a rundown of what we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
So some of the things we found out are, if you have 210 acres and you want to keep everything going, and we're off the grid, which is part of the title of the talk. We found a place, it was already off the grid, there is solar and a propane backup. And so the first thing you find out is you need to produce energy. So we're going to be talking about conserving and producing energy and the kinds of things we're trying to do with that. The second thing is you got to eat. And so we started producing our own food. And that includes gardening and animals. And that became a whole almost career in itself, trying to find how all that interweaves and how the animals help the plants and the plants help the animals and how energy ties into that. And then finally you realize things like, okay, I've got 200 pounds of zucchini, or I have half a pig. I can't eat it all this week. What do I do with it? And so we got into a lot of just basic skills and rediscovering a lot of skills, like how do you preserve food without electricity? Where do you put it? You know, what's an ice house? How do you build one of those? What's a root cellar? How do you dig a root cellar when you can't go 6 inches down without hitting ground? So, you know, this is what we mean by detours, that we are in the, you know, in the pursuit of the overall goal that we've been talking about. We're just having to find out how to live sustainably on this property in a way that, you know, we don't have to import thousands of gallons of propane or thousands of pounds of grain or money from jobs. So all those things, we're just trying we're learning about all those things so that when we've learned and as we continue to learn, we can support the original goals that we were after. Yeah, so one of the things we thought we'd mention is why New Hampshire? Emily is from Vermont. She's familiar with the whole Northeast area, knew that it was a place you can get a lot of land, you know, for not an exorbitant amount of money. And in fact, we originally thought we would go to Vermont. We looked around in Vermont and...
Well, basically our inspiration for finding a large property and eventually leading us to New Hampshire was, I grew up. My second home was a camp that was a wilderness survival type camp, and very community-based, international, but very small. And it was a place where I thought I did more learning than I ever did in public school. And people really learned to work together even if we didn't like each other. And you know, a lot of sustainability involved in that. And so we went there to visit. It's no longer a camp, but we were all very inspired and, you know, telling the stories and showing the property like, you can do so much here. You can do anything here. We need that. And so we came up with the idea. And then looking into a lot of things in New England, you know, it's beautiful here. Vermont, you know, politics are obviously different. And also the zoning is very different, and you really can't build that much in Vermont anymore. So New Hampshire, there's a lot more flexibility with that, so that was a big plus. Plus it's the free state, so that was a big part of it as well.
Right, we would have come here even if there was no free state project, just because of the land and the opportunities and the zoning and the business-friendly atmosphere. But it didn't hurt at all to know that there was this building movement coming, that we might actually end up surrounded by people who have the same mindset and are after the same things, and so that makes it even better.
Okay.
Let's see what people want to talk about.
Yeah. Any of those topics, so let's restate them. We had energy, we had food, and we had skills. So we could go in any order that you want. So how many want to hear about energy first? How many want to hear about food production, storage, etc., etc.? Okay. And how many want to hear about skills, other kinds of skills? Okay, it looks like food and skills are about even, but food looked more. And you say, all right, we're going to talk about food and how appropriate we're in the picnic hall. Okay.
Whatever. Let's talk about energy. That's sort of the
All right, that's been vetoed. This is not a democratic state. We're going to talk about energy. We'll get to food.
But please stop, raise your hand, or, you know, speak up, yell, scream, whatever, and say, hey, I have a question about that, stop. So, because we'll talk about everything. There's so much we're doing. So really, if you're interested in something, let us know. We'll talk more about that.